Committee will come to order. Trade cheats in China and around the world are constantly looking for new ways to evade U.S. trade laws and rip off American jobs and American workers. They wish to sell illegal products in America, goods made with forced labor, illegally harvested timber, and products that steal our intellectual property. Trade cheats are a grave threat to the American worker, farmer, and businesses. In fact, all Americans who play by the rules. The most offensive example of trade cheating is the state-sponsored forced labor that's rampant in China's Uyghur region. The Chinese government has arbitrarily detained more than 1 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities. These detainees find themselves thrown into re-education camps where they're isolated from their families and forced to work under the worst conditions. The Chinese Communist Party's treatment of the Uyghur community is a moral abomination, and it threatens American jobs. The math is pretty simple. You pay poverty wages, you pollute as you please. Chinese companies have been able to flood U.S. markets with cheap goods and undercut all the competition. We believe here on this committee that American workers are the best in the world, but awful hard to compete with slave labor. What's the effect here at home? Factories shuttered, American jobs lost to China. We're going to hear today from Andy Meserve. He's a USW local president whose aluminum factory was idled, in part due to forced labor abroad. The problem is when domestic aluminum factories like Andy's get shut down, China's the only game in town. So companies must commit to cleaning up forced labor in their supply chains. In December of this past year, I launched an investigation into allegations that the auto industry is still relying on supply chains that are tainted by forced labor. The allegation is that components of cars, from steel to batteries to tires, have a huge likelihood of being made with Uyghur forced labor. So we asked our committee the 8 major automakers about their supply chains and what they're doing to clean them up. This, of course, is a flagship American industry, employing more than 90,000 Americans, contributing over $700 billion annually to the U.S. economy. America can't allow those jobs to be ripped off and sent to an economy that by strategy pays nothing. U.S. law already prohibits importing products made with forced labor. The challenge is identifying the products and stopping them. Customs agents are on the front lines of this effort. The customs folks have a twofold job. First, intercept shipments that violate U.S. law. Second, they've got to keep legal goods moving efficiently through American ports. A lot has changed since 2016 when the Finance Committee passed our last package of trade enforcement tools. As Senator Crapo remembers, we've been working on these issues. I see Senator Cornyn, Senator Thune, we've been working on these issues for a long time, the 4 of us in a bipartisan way. The Trade Facilitation and Trade Enforcement Act has produced real results. It gave customs new tools to swiftly crack down on duty evasion that hurts American workers and businesses. It's helped keep out counterfeits that threaten American innovation and public safety. He's not here at the time, but Senator Brown deserves a great deal of credit working with us to close an egregious loophole that was letting products made with forced labor come through our markets. Closing that loophole was enormously important because products made with forced labor can't be allowed to enter our country, period. Today, customs has new challenges. COVID-19 changed the way people buy and sell goods. E-commerce has exploded. In this committee, we said years ago that the internet is the shipping lane of the 21st century. And that's certainly been evident over the last couple of years. Shipments have surged. CBP is processing millions more packages, small packages, every day. Fentanyl and other illicit drugs continue to enter through our ports. Illegally fished seafood is entering the U.S. markets and threatening the livelihoods of coastal communities. Counterfeiters rip off American products, posing an economic and health threat to American citizens. Intellectual property theft is estimated to cost the U.S. economy up to $600 billion every year, much of it from China. Foreign companies continue to find new ways to work their way around our trade laws. Keeping out the trade cheats is something of a game of whack-a-mole. In my view, stepping up trade enforcement requires finding and stopping the cheats and crafting tools that are flexible enough to stop the next round of cheaters. I'll close by saying it's going to take better coordination with Customs and Border Patrol across the U.S. government, from the Department of Labor to the fisheries experts at Commerce. We'll be working with CBP and others to improve our trade laws, make sure these agencies have the tools they need. This morning's hearing is an important first step. We're going to hear from businesses that need inputs and logistics professionals who work with Customs to keep supply chains moving. We'll also hear from folks who work to get forced labor out of the supply chains, and an American worker. And I know, Andy, you've worked very closely with us, Mr. Reserve, to tell us how it's personally impacted you through this unfair competition. We want to hear how Customs can maximize enforcement while streamlining imports from trusted traders with clean supply chains. That's going to help U.S. producers the right way, getting the inputs they need, reducing bottlenecks, and helping our workers and consumers. Senator Crapo, look forward to your remarks.